Hello, my friends. Today I want to start with this. Because the Russian forces are making serious advances along the entire front line, Ukraine has decided to start preparing new defensive lines further back from the current front. But there is one big question. What happened to the previous defense lines and why are the Russians breaking through them so easily? No one seems to have an answer. What is clear, though, is that the new defense lines are being built about 20 kilometers behind the current front. Also, today, Sybiha made a statement about negotiations with Russia.
We showed our readiness back in Istanbul, when the Russian side deliberately sent a low-level delegation, which was a clear insult to America, to their partners, and a sign that they were not and still are not ready to talk seriously about a ceasefire or a just peace. In contrast, Ukraine is showing that we are ready. We are open to dialogue, consultations, and negotiations aimed at achieving a fair peace. Most likely, the most effective step would be a direct meeting between Zelensky and Putin.
However, for now, there is no information about whether a third round of talks will happen. And now President Zelensky said there is only one hope left that Trump can stop this war.
And I really want to believe that if Putin doesn't come to his senses, Trump will indeed impose powerful sanctions that cannot be bypassed, especially in the energy and banking sectors. I also hope that Trump will provide us with a strong deterrence package and air defense systems that can protect Ukraine, and eventually the European countries too. That's where the difference lies. Most importantly, I don't want to criticize anyone. I'm grateful to America for all the support during this war. The U.S. has supported us, and I've always said we're thankful to the White House and for bipartisan support. It was there, and I'm very thankful it continues. But President Biden couldn't end this war. I believe President Trump can. I think that's what really matters.
But for now, the war goes on, and today we are losing something truly important, the Donbas, once Ukraine's key industrial region. The Russians know this, which is why they are trying to take over all of Donetsk region at any cost. We can clearly see they are not sparing their forces. Let's start today with the Pokrovsk direction. Here, the Russians remain active and just yesterday struck the central part of Dobropilya. Along the border, they are pushing toward the city of Rodynske and have already reached the outskirts of Krasny Liman. The fighting continues, but as of now, there are just 2 kilometers and 100 meters between the front and the Rodynskes each. Local soldiers report that the Russians are practically already in the city's outskirts. In the Myrnohrad direction, the Russians are closing in on Rodynske. It all happened way too fast, and now the Russians are practically at the cities each. This is creating huge problems for the defense of the entire Pokrovsk-Myrnohrad agglomeration. And if you consider that the Russians are already near Novoekonomichne, the situation can be described as critical. There are setbacks everywhere. In the south, near Shevchenko village, and in the southwest near Kotliny and Udachne. The Russians keep switching between main attack areas, forcing us to only react. Right now, they have the initiative, and we can only respond after the fact. First, they attacked in the Toretsk direction. We managed to stop them there. Then it was Sumy. We stopped them there too. Now, just like in the summer and fall of 2024, they focused their main forces on the Pokrovsk direction. In all these moves, from Toretsk to Pokrovsk to Sumy and Kharkiv regions, we kept shifting forces back and forth, and the front kept breaking open. That's the situation. Overall, friends, we must admit this is a strategic defeat. The Russian command has chosen the best strategy and they are succeeding. Meanwhile, the situation in Novoekonomichne is critical. The Russians are breaking in from two directions and trying to force Ukrainian forces out. The infantry assaults they are brutal with heavy losses. They are also attacking Myrnohrad, pushing toward the outskirts of Myrnohrad and Pokrovsk, storming Lysivka, Удачне, Molodetske, and breaking through near Kotlane. For now, there have been no overnight changes, but the situation remains extremely difficult. In the Novopavlivka direction, the Russians are storming Muravka, pushing through the Gorykhovo and Oleksiivka areas, and attacking Dachne and Filia. They are also advancing near Pidubne, and fierce battles are ongoing for the village of Myrne, which Russia appears to have captured on credit, since they've already shown flags in the village. However, fighting for Myrne continues. In the Velyka Novosilka direction. After yet another breakthrough, the Russians have started advancing toward Malivka. They are also pushing past the village of Shevchenko, launching attacks on Komushovacha, advancing near Zelene Pole, and storming Temerivka. In short, there is very high activity in this area, and the Russians continue moving toward Dnipropetrovsk region. In the Gulay-Pole direction, the Russians continue to assault Malinivka, but so far have had no success and all attacks are being repelled. In the Zaporizhia direction, attacks on Novodanilivka are ongoing along with continued shelling. Meanwhile, in the village of Kamensk, the situation remains unchanged. Ukrainian forces are holding the northern part of the village. In the Kherson direction, the Russians continue the attacks near the Antonivsky Bridge and are also launching assaults on the islands. However, they are having no success, and Ukrainian forces are successfully repelling all attacks. Shelling of the right bank also continues, but Russian forces are unable to advance, and the front line hasn't changed over the past 24 hours. Now, moving on to the Kostiantynivka direction. Unfortunately, Russian forces have made gains here as well. They advancing closer to Stepanivka and have captured Novospassky. Due to progress on the western flank, the distance to Kostiantynivka has now decreased to 6.7 kilometers, which means the situation there is gradually worsening. The number of drones over the city continues to grow. Additionally, Russian troops continue to assault Stupochki and Pretechene, pushing toward Bila Gora, near Delievka, and storming Sherbinivka, Rusin Yar, and Popiev Yar. But the fighting continues. In the Siversk direction, the Russians are assaulting Serebryanka but are making no progress. Ukrainian forces report they are successfully repelling all attackers in the village, and the Russians cannot gain a foothold. In the area near the village of Grigorivka, Russian troops are also attempting to push forward and break through near Vyimka, but there have been no changes in the past 24 hours. In the Liman direction, Russian forces are assaulting Zarychne, Kolodyazi, Zelena Dolina, and Shandrigolove. They are also trying to break through near Karpivka and are attacking Novy Mir and Druzhelyubivka. However, they haven't been able to advance, and the front line remains unchanged over the past day. In the Borova direction, Russian forces are assaulting Bogoslavka and Novoyegorivka, but they haven't made any gains, and the situation has remained unchanged over the past 24 hours. In the Kupiansk direction, the Russians are attacking the outskirts of Kupiansk, trying to gain a foothold. They are also attempting to break through near Pishane and Stepova Novoselivka. However, they haven't succeeded, and the front line remains stable for now. In the Dvorichna direction, Russian forces are attempting to break through near Krasnopershe and Stroyevka. They are also carrying out shelling, but the front line remains unchanged. In the Velyka direction, the Russians haven't launched any new assaults, and the situation hasn't changed over the past 24 hours. In the Kharkiv direction, the situation remains stable for now. The Russians haven't launched new assaults on the village of Zelene, and their previous attempts ended in more losses. In Vovchansk, fighting continues, but the Ukrainian forces are successfully repelling all attacks, and the front line hasn't changed. In the Sumy direction, Russian forces are attempting to break through near Oleksiivka, Novomykolaivka, Yunakivka, and across the border, but they haven't achieved any success, and the Ukrainian forces continue to repel all attacks. And that's all from me, so please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. Thank you for watching, and see you next time. Bye bye.